I want to thank Simon Bath, and I especially want to thank my brother from the Chuck P family, Carl Cleveland, for becoming my latest subscribers. Thank you very much. So Tna Impact took place once again from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the show starts off with Dixie Carter coming to the ring, accompanied by her two security guards, one of which is carrying a briefcase. And Dixie compares herself to Michelangelo, saying that it takes time to create a great work of art. She says that she will reveal that work at Bound for Glory. That is, if AJ Styles doesn't mess it up. Dixie says that Bully Ray took care of Styles last week, but Styles should not have fought back. She says that she's an expert at motivation and evaluation and that she's going to show off those skills. Dixie mentions the contract signing for the world title match at Bound for Glory, but wonders about Styles not making it to the signing. She offers $50,000 to anyone who can eliminate Styles from appearing at Bound for Glory and take his place in the main event, thus improving his status with Dixie and the company. Dixie says that Styles may not have taken her money last week, but someone will this week, and that's why Styles won't be at Bound for Glory. She says that someone else will take his place because she's about giving people opportunities and making a lot of money while doing so. And she orders one of her guards to show off the money. Then Bully Ray comes out with Brooke Tessmacher. Bully Ray says that he may not agree with Dixie Carter, but even though he didn't get paid to take out Styles last week, he would be willing to do it again while getting that money so that he can face someone else at Bound for Glory. Then Magnus comes to the ring, and he wants to know from Dixie why she would witness wrestlers bust their asses and compete in the Bound for Glory series for a shot at the world title, watch Styles win, and then pay someone to take him out because she hates him. Dixie says that it's good business. So Magnus says that he can understand why the crowd thinks that she sucks. And he goes for his pop moment when he says that Dixie and Bully may not think that $50,000 is a lot of money, but he and the crowd in Tulsa do. Magnus says that he is tired of Bully Ray running his mouth weekly, and he doesn't care about the money and says that he will wrestle Bully Ray for nothing. And Bully Ray puts over Magnus's physical stats and his being the future of TNA. He says that Sting and the fans support Magnus, but Magnus needs to know the truth. Bully Ray calls Magnus a phony and says that he is a pretty boy loser without a heart. And then Magnus slugs Bully Ray, and Bully Ray accepts the challenge for the match later on in the show. It's a good segment only because of the way both Magnus and Bully Ray came off here. Dixie continues to fail, more rambling, feeling the need to say something every time someone says something to her, talking when it's not necessary, and just forcing words out of her mouth. There was something about this segment even worse than Dixie, and that was the fake money. That was embarrassing. Why would production shoot a close-up of the money knowing that it's not real? Are things that bad that you can't even sell a briefcase full of real money? I mean, they could have put in a false compartment that takes up the space in the briefcase except for the very top. And then they could have placed stacks of paper slips with real $100 bills on top that would be visible to the camera. Or you could have even used a check if getting real money was too much of an effort. Guys going after AJ Styles for fake money. It's all about the presentation, and that presentation was embarrassing. So we see Aces and Eights backstage. And Bully Ray says that the way they took out AJ Styles felt like how the group handled their business in the past. He says that he gave Mike Knox and Garrett Bischoff their shine, but they show grimness over the comment. Bully Ray tells Knox that he's going to get that shine again by facing Gunner and by also getting that $50,000. And he says that if they need him during the match, let him know and he will be there, just like he expects them to be there for him at Bound for Glory. So despite their continued reservations about helping Bully Ray, Knox and Bischoff will keep helping Bully Ray until they reach the point that they won't. So then we had a four corners match. Christopher Daniels versus Hernandez versus Robbie E versus Eric Young. And this is a preview of the tag team gauntlet match that will be on the pre-pay-per-view show on Spike TV. And for whomever wins the match, that team will be the last entry in the gauntlet match. For Bound for Glory. Okay, match. The match ends with Eric Young hitting both Christopher Daniels and Robbie E with a missile drop kick. Young clotheslines Robbie E, clotheslines Daniels, and then hits Robbie E with a standard drop kick. Young sets up Daniels for a power move, but Robbie E hits him from the side. Robbie E grabs Young's head and slams it down on his own head. Then Daniels brings Young down by the neck to the mat. Daniels goes for the pin, but Robbie E breaks it up. Daniels and Robbie E start arguing, causing Robbie E to shove him twice. Daniels responds by shoving Robbie E down to the mat. Hernandez comes running down the ramp and hits Daniels with the Air Mexico. Robbie E hits Hernandez from behind and comes off the ropes, but Hernandez hits him with a shoulder block. Hernandez charges toward Daniels in the corner and begins to propel, but Daniels moves out of the way, causing Hernandez to go over the top rope to the outside. Daniels hits Young and whips him from one corner toward the opposite corner, but Young flips himself over the top rope and runs to the middle of the ring apron. He shoulder blocks Daniels from the apron. He slides under the bottom rope, going under Daniels and putting himself back into the ring. Young belly to bellies Daniels. He goes for the top rope and comes off with a flying elbow drop on Daniels. Robbie E shoves Young out of the ring and pins Daniels for the 3. The winner of the match, Robbie E. So the Glorified Jobbers will be the last team to enter the tag team gauntlet match on the pre-pay-per-view special. Hopefully this is a false sign, because the Glorified Jobbers are not tag team championship material. They're not even tag team material. Bad Influence have been the champions and should be the champions again. If TNA is going to rebuild their tag team division, Bad Influence has to be the team that they build around if they want credibility. So then we see AJ Styles backstage, and he is asked how it feels to have a bounty on his head. Styles says that he can't trust anyone. Suddenly he is hit from behind by Mr. Duh. Mr. Duh throws some punches, but Styles knees him and throws him into a trash container. Mr. Duh tries to get up, but Styles knocks him back down with a final punch. Then Styles says that the night is going to be a long one. So it appears that this will be the running angle for the show, as random wrestlers will try to collect the bounty for the fake money. Mr. Duh? So then we see AJ Styles come to the ring. And Styles says that Dixie is very desperate to prevent him from making it to Bound for Glory, and he is flattered by that. Styles says that she is scared that he will make her pay when he wins the world title. He says that if anyone wants to come and collect the bounty, come get him. Mike Knox and Garrett Bischoff come to the ring. Styles charges Knox, but Bischoff quickly gets involved, and the two Aces and Eights members double team Styles in the corner. And then James Storm's music plays, and Storm and Gunner come to the ring. They chase Knox and Bischoff from the ring. And then Storm leaves the ring and gets in Styles' face. Storm gives him a slight nod and leaves. And then Styles leaves the ring area. Okay. So that leads into Gunner versus Mike Knox. Okay match. The match ends with both Gunner and Mike Knox taking each other down with clotheslines. And Garrett Bischoff is in James Storm's face on the ramp and seems to be motioning for Bully Ray to come out and help him. Storm grabs a cup of beer from the crowd and throws the beer in Bischoff's face. Back in the ring, Gunner gives Knox a couple of blows. Knox goes for a clothesline, but Gunner ducks and comes back with a clothesline. Gunner picks Knox up and delivers a fallaway slam. And then Gunner waits for Knox to get to his feet and picks him up again for an attempted torture rack. Knox counters, throws Gunner off the ropes, and hits him with a flying body press. He goes for the pin, but Gunner kicks out. Knox yells for Bully Ray to come out. He turns back around and Gunner nails him with a spear. He gets the 3. The winner of the match, Gunner. So TNA chooses to push Storm and Gunner's title defense at Bound for Glory by having Gunner compete in another singles match. First Hernandez and now Mike Knox. It is time to take the belts off this team because there is no faith in them. Let their first televised title defense at Bound for Glory be their last. Against Bad Influence. So then we see Chris Sabin and Velvet Sky backstage. Fail Sabin says that he's going to collect the $50,000 bounty and put himself in the main event. He says that fans are upset with him not being in the main event and being in the Ultimate X match instead. And then he tells Velvet that he's going to buy her something with the money, and she tells him that he's not that kind of guy, and he leaves. Fail Sabin. So then we see Mike Knox and Garrett Bischoff backstage. And Bischoff wants to know why Bully Ray didn't come out to help them. Knox reflects the same frustration and says that they will see what happens when Bully Ray needs their help. Again. And Bischoff agrees. So now we see that final part of what we hope to see as being the end of Bully Ray's association with Aces and Ace. And it should conclude at Bound for Glory. So then we see a video recap of Lady Tapa's monster smashes on both Velvet Sky and ODB from the past 2 weeks. Then we see Brooke Tessmacher backstage taking photos of her face and her ass. And Gail Kim comes into the shot and wants to talk to her about Lady Tapa. Gail tells her that they should work together in case Tapa comes after them. And Tessmacher tells her that she's not interested because she's going to protect herself and that she only does what Bully Ray says, and then she leaves. Now Tapa will likely make an appearance at Bound for Glory, but I don't think she should interact with the other heels. She should focus her attack on the woman that has what she wants, the Women's Championship. This time, though, ODB should fight back. Thus, their program begins. So then we see Fail Sabin quietly walking down the hallway. He looks through a doorway and he tries to open the door. He walks up to Yellow Shirt Staff Guy and asks him if he has seen AJ Styles. Yellow Shirt Staff Guy says no. Sabin turns and Samoa Joe is there. Joe says that he can understand why Sabin's trying to collect the bounty on Styles, but he tells Sabin that his attention should be on their match. And Joe goes on to say that he will also see Sabin at Bound for Glory in the Ultimate X match, and that if Sabin makes it past that, then he can go after that money. If he makes it past that. That look on Sabin's face. That's your heel? How about Sabin getting back in Joe's face and saying, what if you don't make it past the Ultimate X match at Bound for Glory? With a grim look. Instead of looking like Joe just told him that he fucked Velvet. Fail Sabin. So then we have Chris Sabin versus Samoa Joe. Decent match. The match ends with Chris Sabin whipping Samoa Joe into the corner. Sabin hits Joe with a flying fist to the face. Sabin spits into his hand and rubs the spit into Joe's face. And then Sabin whips Joe into the other corner and charges, but Joe side slams him. Joe delivers an inverted atomic drop and comes off the ropes with a boot to the chest. He follows that with a senton. He goes for the pin, but Sabin kicks out. Joe takes him into the corner and lifts him onto the top turnbuckle. He tries to go for the muscle buster, but Sabin starts biting Joe's forehead. Sabin runs across the ring, jumps onto the middle ropes, and executes a springboard DDT. He goes for the pin, but Joe kicks out. Sabin tries to lift Joe on his shoulders, but Joe locks him in a full Nelson. Sabin throws elbows to Joe's face. He goes around Joe, takes him to the ropes, and rolls him up. Joe breaks it up and applies the rear naked choke. Sabin immediately taps out. The winner of the match, Samoa Joe. After the match, Austin Aries comes to the ring and comes off the top rope with a missile dropkick on Joe. And then Jeff Hardy comes to the ring and starts throwing punches with Aries. He whips Aries off the ropes, but Aries reverses the whip. Aries misses with an attempted blow, and Hardy delivers the twist of fate. Hardy goes to the outside of the ring and pulls out a ladder from under the ring. He brings the ladder into the ring and sets it upright. Hardy kicks Aries and goes up the ladder, but Sabin drags him back down off the ladder by the ankle. Hardy responds with a mule kick. And then Manic comes to the ring and goes to the top of the ladder. He comes off with a cross body block on Aries and Sabin. And then Manic does his Spider-Man impression, and Hardy tries to steal some of his run. Basic promoting for a match that has 4 or more people involved by having everyone come out. Seeing Hardy bring out the ladder doesn't show a good sign for the Ultimate X match, because having a ladder kind of defeats the purpose of maneuvering across a cable to get to the belt. So then we see Bad Influence attacking AJ Styles backstage and leaving him on the floor. They pick him up and they berate him, but Styles kicks, elbows, and punches his way out of their hold on him. He sends Kazarian crashing into Daniels, and then he grabs a fire extinguisher, sprays them with quote-unquote CO2, and uses that as a smoke screen to escape. Okay. So then we see Ethan Carter III doing a photo shoot. He looks at the camera and says that he will make Aunt D proud at Bound for Glory. So any promise that I had with TNA pushing Ethan similar to Gino Hernandez was diminished last week with the reveal of his last name being Carter. On this show, it was totally obliterated with his being revealed as Dixie's nephew. Nepotism has always affected booking integrity as well as match integrity. Who's to say that Ethan won't get a world title shot right away just because he's Dixie's nephew? Disappointing. So then we had a non-title match. Bully Ray versus Magnus. Decent match. The match ends with Magnus coming off the top rope with a flying elbow drop. He goes for the pin, but Bully Ray kicks out. Magnus charges toward Bully Ray in the corner. Bully Ray moves out of the way, but as he does so, he pulls referee Earl Hebner in front of Magnus, causing Magnus to collide with Hebner. Hebner goes down and Bully Ray hits Magnus from behind, and then Bully Ray grabs a chain from the corner and wraps it around his fist. Sting comes to the ring and grabs Bully Ray's fist. Hebner tries to tell Sting to leave. Magnus grabs Bully Ray's arm, causing him to drop the chain, but Bully Ray low blows Magnus. He pins Magnus for the 3. The winner of the match, Bully Ray. And then after the match, Sting points to the chain on the mat and tries to explain to Magnus that Bully Ray was going to use it on him. Sting tries to get Magnus to shake his hand, but Magnus just slaps it away and leaves the ring. So then we see Sting and Magnus backstage. Magnus tells Sting that if the ref hadn't been paying attention to him, Bully Ray wouldn't have hit him in the balls and gotten the pin. Sting says that the ref's attention was on him because he was holding Bully Ray's fist with the chain wrapped around it. And Magnus says that he didn't ask for Sting's assistance, and because of it, he loses again. He says that he wants to prove to Sting and everyone else that he can win on his own. And Samoa Joe appears and tries to calm the situation, and then Sting tells Magnus that he will be by himself at Bound for Glory and that it will just be the two of them. And Magnus agrees. Do not turn Magnus heel. So then we see Kurt Angle come to the ring. And Angle says that he is happy to be back. He says that Robert Roode is one of the best talents that he has seen. Angle says that Roode reminds him of himself 5 years ago. But when Roode pissed on Angle going into the TNA Hall of Fame, it became personal. He says that there is a difference between thinking one is talented and degrading another man's legacy. Because of that, Angle says that he has buried himself. He goes on to say that Roode will never be him. And then Roode comes to the ring and says that he has no interest in being Kurt Angle. He says that in the past he wanted to be. Roode says that Angle was the most important element in professional wrestling, but now he is. And then he says that Angle crapped on his Gentleman's Hall of Fame induction ceremony, but he is still more worthy of the TNA Hall of Fame than Angle. Roode says that Angle hasn't done anything in 2 years since Bound for Glory 2011, when Angle defeated him to retain the world title. He says that losing to Angle led to his becoming the It Factor and the longest reigning world champion in the history of the company. Roode tells Angle that he will beat him at Bound for Glory. However, Angle wants to know how Roode is going to accomplish that if he is tapping out. And then Roode tells Angle that he won't tap and hits him. And then he delivers a series of punches and kicks on Angle. And after some posturing, Roode resumes his attack, but Angle takes him down and applies the ankle lock. And then Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come to the ring and attack Angle. They send him shoulder first into the ring post and then continue their attack. And then Roode tells Daniels and Kazarian to back off. He applies the crossface on Angle. Angle taps and Roode lets him go. With Angle laid out face down, Roode tells him that, as he was going to say, he is going to make Angle tap out. It was a good segment. To be able to generate some interest in this match in two weeks was fine, so I will give them that. So then we have the world title contract signing. Jeremy Borash and Dixie Carter are standing at a podium with Dixie's security schmuck standing behind her. Borash introduces Bully Ray, who comes out with Brooke Tessmacher. Then he introduces AJ Styles, and he comes to the ring. Borash instructs Bully Ray to sign the contract, which he does. And then he takes the mic from Borash and tells Styles that he didn't hesitate when he signed the contract. Bully Ray excuse me. Bully Ray simply says that Styles can't defeat him. He takes his hat off and plops it on Tessmacher's head, and she flips it backwards. Bully Ray tells Styles that he doesn't have the intelligence, the eagerness, or the power to beat him. He screams at Borash, telling him that he's not giving up the mic. Then Bully Ray makes a reference to a classic promo done by Dusty Rhodes back in 1985, best known as the Hard Times promo. Bully Ray uses the promo as an analogy to describe the hard times that he has put on other wrestlers this year. Jeff Hardy at Lockdown, Sting at Slammiversary, Chris Sabin at Hardcore Justice, and Hogan in general. Bully Ray tells Styles that he, his fans, and his family will be put on hard times. And then Bully Ray says that he is Lord Vader, but Styles is no son of Anakin. Styles tells Bully Ray that they are not Flair and Rose, and he calls Bully Ray a, quote, big dumb bitch, unquote. Styles says that he has to win at Bound for Glory so that Dixie begs and Bully Ray suffers by losing. He says that he will become the world champion and signs the contract. And then Bully Ray tells Dixie that he won't put the title on the line, on the show that is, but he will collect the bounty. He shoves the podium into Styles. And then Bully Ray tries to hit Styles with the chain, but Styles ducks and slams the briefcase across Bully Ray's face. And Styles opens the briefcase and throws the fake money at Dixie and her goons. And then Dixie scrambles to pick up the fake money, and Styles and Bully Ray jaw-jack at each other. Show ends. See what happens when you place the sole focus on the two participants in the Bound for Glory main event and not have them revolve around Dixie. This segment was a strong conclusion to the limited build for this main event. And one can only wonder how better it would have been if 2 weeks were not wasted on trying to make Dixie a credible heel, something that TNA is still trying to do. Bully Ray's Hard Times promo reference made the segment even better for me, being an old school fan. I know that a considerable amount of people watched that promo after Impact ended, and I'm glad that they did. Think about that. TNA referencing the 80s. Maybe that's a sign. But probably not. It's TNA. I'm Tazmart 2002, and that was my TNA Impact Analysis for October 17th, 2013. If you're listening to me on YouTube, please leave your comments below. Click the like or dislike button, and if you subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to me on the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page, leave your comments below and click the like button if you like what I've been saying. If you have any questions or comments about TNA or wrestling in general, you can contact me on Twitter, Tazmark2002, TAZMARK2002. And if your comments exceed the 140, get at me with an email, Tazmark2002@gmail.com. And be sure to watch the TNA Impact review that I do with Chuck P every Friday morning at 11:30 on Chuck P's channel. And check out his channel in general. He also does NFL prediction videos. So if you haven't seen him, give him a look. Solid show. Helped a lot by the last two segments. Simply put, now we're here. Bound for Glory. What will happen? What won't happen? The future of the company is on the line. I'm Tazmart 2002. Gone.